Diana, you ready?
I'm ready.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Everybody ready? Everybody ready?
Mm-hmm.
We're not in order yet. We're going to do the flag salute first and the moment of silence. Let's see. We do the moment of silence first, right?
Well, she'll do a prayer.
Yeah, our prayer. You're going to do our prayer. And you're Reverend Deb? No. Huh?
I'm Deb Kaufman. I am an elder at Houston Presbyterian Church. We're looking for a pastor. Anybody been for pastor?
Okay. Well, thank you. We appreciate you being here to do that for us. Help yourself. There's a stand and a microphone over there.
My voice carries.
That's what everybody says. And those people who can't hear always say, well, everybody says they can hear. No, we can't. So please.
But I've been a teacher too, so.
Oh, well, in that
good.
case,
You have a
yeah.
teacher voice then. Yes.
Okay. Would everyone please stand and let's face the flag and do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for those folks who are our kids' teachers, bus drivers, janitors, librarians, lunchroom cooks, and our school administrators. Please keep watch over them, our students, and all the parents and guardians all of this summer so everyone may return back to our great school district this fall. Keep instilled in all of them a passion to learn and to become great citizens of this country. We ask this in your name, O Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. We appreciate you coming. That was great. Yes, it was. Thank you so much. Okay, I would like to call the meeting to order now. And we have reports and call to order. Let's do that first. Roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Here. Okay, and now we'll have reports from the superintendent and or staff.
That's me. I'm staff.
Give us your name, please, in case there's
Diana.
someone who doesn't know who you are.
Okay, I'm Diana Lebsack. I'm not Dr. Simmeroff. And so Diana Lebsack, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. So,
Okay,
and very briefly, we have just a couple of things. Right now, our crowd is light because our pre-K through 8 principals and assistant principals are all in National Harbor, Maryland at the National Association of Elementary School Principals. And so check them out on Instagram. There's a great picture of the entire group that's there. And they are getting charged up to come back and get ready for the school year. So that's a really exciting thing that they're all together. And then when they get back again, it's full steam ahead to get ready for kids in August, which will be here before we know it. And so the only other thing that we have is we have a quick presentation and update about our SPOSU partnership. And so with us is the provost from Southwestern Oklahoma State University, which we appreciate greatly being here this evening, Dr. Joel Kendall, and then our Chief Operations Officer, Mark Lebsack, with just a quick update for you all.
okay.
Come on up.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you. I just wanted to kind of provide you with an overview of our past and current partnership with Yukon Public Schools. You know, we've been a partner for about 3 years with Yukon Public Schools in providing students with access to higher quality higher education here in Canadian County for concurrent students and also Yukon Public School employees. This partnership was started somewhat informally, and then it turned into some formal partnerships on how to do certain strategies and programs to get students those hours. So there's four distinct things that we're doing with Yukon Public Schools that we started 3 years ago. All four, we believe, are extremely successful, and we want to continue to find ways to expand those. The first one, the first type of program that we have is what we call the degree completion program. And that's for especially the bachelor's students. So that's for Yukon Public School employees who do not have a bachelor's degree. We work with them to get them across that finish line to get a bachelor's degree. In the past year, we've had 6 individuals who've completed that. Most of those are paraprofessionals. So upon degree completion, then they can at that point work toward credentialing to become teachers in the classroom. So we've got another 24 who are enrolled in that. The second program that we have is the same type of degree completion program, but it's for master's level students. So that's for current Yukon Public School employees who have a bachelor's degree but would like to get a master's. So we work with them, get a completion program together with them to get across that finish line. So far in the 3 years that we've had this, we've had 48 Yukon Public School employees get their master's degrees from Southwestern. We have another 60 who are enrolled in that program. Most of these are Yukon Public School teachers or staff who are wanting, most of these degrees end up being like an education administration degree, letting them further their career. The third and fourth programs that I want to talk about are our concurrent programs. Those are also successful. We kind of break those into 2 different ones. First is what we call our dual credit concurrent. And in that, what we do is we take a Yukon Public School teacher who is qualified in terms of their degree that they can become a Southwestern professor. So we credential them, and then in their classrooms that they teach, if they're the same level as like a general education Southwestern class, we credential and that becomes a Southwestern class rather than a high school class. So that's called dual credit. We first started that in fall 2021. And the first full year that we offered that, 21-22, we had 156 students take courses, Southwestern courses, under that program. We had about 11 teachers that were able to be dual credentialed, dual credit, credentialed as dual credit teachers. This year, 22-23, that went from 156 to 237 students took classes with that. So that's a great jump, and it continues to be a strong one to focus on. And then our fourth strategy that we partner with Yukon Public Schools on is another type of concurrent, but that's just our traditional concurrent. That's where we actually bring in a full-time Southwestern professor onto the YPS campus and teach students mostly general education courses. We started that, our first semester that we tried that was in spring 22, and we had 16 students. So far for this fall, we have 178 students enrolled. So we've gone to 16 students less than a year ago, or about a year ago, to 178 students enrolled. We are experiencing growing pains because that is truly really taking off. So if you combine the dual credit and the traditional concurrent classes together, just this past year, at least 300 students took a face-to-face course from Southwestern. We predict that this year in 23-24, about 500 students will take at least one course while they're still in high school from Southwestern. So going forward, we see those 4 strategies as very beneficial for the staff, for the students, and for the community of Yukon. And so we appreciate the opportunity to work with Yukon on those, and we'll just find ways to expand those going forward. So
Can you tell me how many people we had in the bachelor's program who were able to become teachers?
now I can't speak on how many of them became teachers because
Well,
we
how
don't know.
many Yukon people did you
But-
have in there?
But we had
that
6 so far
graduated?
in this past year that have graduated, and that's just been about a year. It's lasted about a year, and we have another 24 enrolled in that.
Okay, and so the first year that we had that, I think we had 5 who
Mhm.
came out.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Right.
so. Okay, I just wondered about that.
Yeah.
Do any of you have any questions?
No, just maybe a comment. I really think the program has been very successful, and I hope that it continues on. And I guess the only question I might ask is, the credits that they get at Southwestern, is there any institutions that you're aware of that don't accept the credits that they get?
Right. And so within Oklahoma, we're all under the umbrella of the Oklahoma State Regents for Higher Education. And so hours taken with us usually, mostly go on. The question becomes, what do those hours count as? And sometimes there may be a university that says, well, you took this course and it doesn't quite exactly count for our course at our institution. So they won't count it for that course. Now, does that mean those hours don't count for anything? No, they'll take those on as 3 hours. It may not be for that exact course.
Okay.
So that's always a method of education for both the student and us to make sure that we're very clear on what that class will count for. There is a matrix that the Oklahoma State Regents keeps that says, all right, if you take this course from this institution, here's what it's going to count for every other institution in Oklahoma. And we try to educate students on when you enroll, make sure you look and see what that's going to look like.
Good, thank you.
Do you know if there's still going to be a possibility for the students who enter the high school this year to still be able to graduate with an associate's degree in 4 years?
So there's two different programs. So we're talking about students who, we call this early college is what Oklahoma State Regents call it.
Okay.
And there's two different things. First of all, there's what we call just a free-for-all. If the student themselves want to take it on, and take on that many hours, they can try.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a second one called early college. And that's one in which students are placed in a cohort. They're actually conditioned and selected while they're in 8th grade, and they take courses through their 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. At the moment, the state regents do not allow students not in that program to take concurrent courses while they're freshmen and sophomores. So you have to be in that program. And there's select universities across the state that are doing this. We are working with Diana and Desiree and others to make this work. It's just got some restrictions on it that are providing a little bit of a hurdle. The biggest restriction on that is we offer free tuition for up to 18 hours for seniors and juniors.
Mm-hmm.
But past that, that's still, if a person's going to go for 60-hour associate degree, that leaves 24 hours out there that we won't cover or the state won't cover. To be entered into this program with the regents, the school district themselves have to say those students are not going to pay a dime in tuition, and they have to provide a plan for that. And right now we're working with YPS and Southwestern are working on how to make that possible. That's a pretty big hurdle because that's a lot of expense.
So we're not starting that this year.
Our original goal was to start it with this year's 8th graders. It's really dependent on the funding because, again, they cannot pay anything, as he talked about. And so originally we had slated for 30 students. We're just examining the financial responsibility of taking that on and
For the
finding
district.
funders. We're writing grants. We're doing some different things, working with Southwestern, grant writer, things like that to try to secure the funding because you cannot even apply for the early college graduation program without the funding in place.
So this year's 8th graders going into 9th grade are not going to be able to participate
We don't know yet. If we find the
because
funding,
they were
yes.
not selected yet or
No,
put
they
in a
would be
cohort.
selected in 8th grade. This would be our this year's upcoming 8th graders would be our first target group.
So last year's 8th graders are just out of luck.
They could still take the same amount of credits like he talked about, take that on themselves,
Yeah.
which again, even if we did the early college graduation program,
Uh-huh.
there's very restrictive guidances on who can apply for that program. It most likely would not be open to every student anyway. It would be based on socioeconomic need, first college attenders for their family. There's a pretty strict list of who can enter those programs to begin with. But that doesn't mean that the programs themselves won't be open for students to take on their own.
So this year's 9th graders can enroll in college classes and take them. There's no age requirements, no
Well, not
grade
yet.
requirement.
There's still
There's a lot more
restrictions.
to it,
Yeah,
yes.
there's
There's-
restrictions on on that from the regents, that if you're on that early college program, freshmen and sophomores are not allowed to do that. Now, we'll say that the legislature keeps taking that up to
Yes.
change that. But until they do, we follow their guidance.
We have 3 pathways built that might be the best thing for you to look at of when they would actually start taking those college classes for those 3 programs. And we have those designed matched with Southwestern and our classes. But those would probably be the best for you to look at, because they really start their coursework after a summer bridge program and after their 9th grade year, and to get them ready for the rigorous coursework and things like that. But we have those 3 pathways lined out.
Okay. I'm just disappointed because I thought it was going to start with this year's 9th graders. I just happen to know one or 2,
Maybe,
you know.
just maybe.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything?
Not at all.
Okay. Thank you so much for the drive and coming and
Yes,
explaining
we
this.
appreciate it.
Mrs. Cannon and members of the board, thank you for this time. In your packet, you have a letter from Dr. Simroth, as well as the most recent rendering of the facility on the high school campus. And I just want to give you guys a quick update on what some of those hurdles that we've come up against. You don't know if you've had fully time to read through that whole letter, but if you have questions about any of that. But I just want to go over some highlights real fast. When we had our meeting, and Mr. Fenrick, jump in anytime you feel necessary. And we had that meeting not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, with our construction management company, as well as our architects and everything. And they brought the cost to build that facility. We all had to gasp, and because the prices had gone up so substantially. We were looking at a 30% increase in the cost to build that facility from when the bond was passed in 21. And then with interest rates on the sale of bonds have gone up substantially, and that was a $10 to $12 million cost in interest alone. We were like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? And so we started trying to get really creative and not wanting to cut out anything that was just talked about. Okay, that's really, really important. But we found some things that we felt like we could do to really make this happen. And so if you'd allow me to go through a quick bulleted list of some things that we are going to do, okay? So I mentioned a 30% increase in construction costs, 10 to 12 million in revenue loss from increase in interest. Those were huge numbers to overcome. But we've come up with some plans. In the original plan, there was a section of the building that was a satellite. Do you guys remember talking the satellite piece that SWASU was going to occupy? So not building that, hear me on this, not building that at this time, okay? As well as taking the second story off of that facility. That alone, those 2 things was a saving of nearly $25 million. And so we saw that, and and that rendering that you have right there, there were some adjustments made in there. That blue space on your map, that was the lecture style hall. And I don't know if you saw the original one, I'm sure you did, but it had a scaffolded seating in there, like a true lecture hall feel. This has been changed to where the actual room is the same space. The actual number of seating is the same space. It's just not scaffolded up, okay? Now, that being said, there will be a drop ceiling in there, for example, but all that stuff can be added back in the future if need be. Each one of those rooms in that blue area seats 75 plus kids. So those are massive rooms, okay? And so what I'm trying to get you guys to see is that space did not shrink in size. Our architects got really creative on how we could make some changes to save some money. So that was one really big thing there. So let me tell you what's still included in the space. The orchestra room is still included. The aerospace lab is still included. Okay, was that good? I
Just
was
stop.
good by starting out with that, wasn't I? Okay.
Almost like it was planned.
She was
Good
waiting.
job.
She
Good
was
job.
waiting.
All right, let me say that again. The orchestra room, the aerospace lab, health occupations and computer science labs, along with esports and media production. All those are still in play. Okay. In addition to those spaces, there's an additional 14 classrooms in there for core and elective space.
And
So
where are they on the map?
let me get my map. So if you'll look at, okay, can you guys see this right here?
Yeah.
All right, so down here, there's 5 classrooms down here on this corner.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, those classrooms that are anchoring you see that little light blue shaded area? Okay, you know what that was? That was the elevator shaft that went up. So taking that all out, now those 2 light blue areas become a vending area, that students can access, staff can access like that. So there's classrooms there. And then if you look in the yellow area, you see those 6 rooms that have been created in there. They're kind of rectangular in shape. Those are the 6 more classrooms. The one on the top right that only looks like it has a desk in it, that is the orchestra room. Okay, and
There's
then
one student is getting into
one
orchestra.
student is getting I'm just kidding.
I don't see the storage for the instruments in here.
Yeah.
It will be there.
And so those are some of the things that they're doing. This pink area, that hallway, that long strip right in there, they are reducing the width of that hallway. It's crazy the amount of just doing stuff like that and what that does to your cost. So here's the great news on that is with that reduction in cost and with our architects, I mean, if you haven't met our architects, they're fantastic and they are true advocates for us as a school district. And they went to battle. Like any little line item, they're like, that's too high, and so forth. And so we've got that down to where we feel really confident that that facility will be built just like that. And then we get to also build exactly as we talked about the indoor facility, including wrestling room, JROTC, all of that. And in August, Dr. Simroth is going to have actually in hand for you guys to see the updated renderings of both facilities. The architects are drawing those right now. And so the most exciting thing that I have to say is our goal is September 1st is our first home football game. That's the new employee cookout. We're going to do a groundbreaking ceremony that night. And we're going to try to make it really, really cool for that new facility. And so we feel, that was a really dark day, if you know what I mean, when we got those initial numbers. But after we got to work on that and our architects, it was like the sun came out, and we really feel great about how we're moving forward. And so I look forward to what the presentation is going to be in August at the August board meeting. And I think you'll have a much clearer picture of what that's going to look like, both facilities, and we'll be good to go.
So how many classrooms are we gaining here?
14.
14?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know the high school's pretty full.
Full. And, Mrs. Barlow was in on those meetings as well. And that was her thing. She's like, you can't take any of the, dedicated classroom space that was going to be in there. We have to have those. And so we stayed in really good shape there. So that second story and that satellite piece saved the day, on everything.
So do you know if, and we could still be too far out on that, if there's going to be a covered walkway from the high school to this building so that in inclement weather, the students have.
That's a great question. And I don't have an answer for you on that.
Okay.
But we can sure find that out.
Let's put that on the
Suzanne
list to
Cannon
talk about.
walkway.
Ooh, yeah.
No, I want the orchestra room.
Yes, sir.
The satellite building, where was it going to be located? I don't remember. Whether-
The blue and the yellow piece right here, it was
Yeah.
going to be set right there, right on that side. I don't know. I think that's going to be on the west side of it, is what that would have been.
Now, is this still prepared that if we want to go back to see this in the future,
Yes, sir.
we can still add those?
That
satellite
was the
classrooms onto
criteria,
that?
is that everything that was originally, we want the facility to be able to accommodate that in the future. So absolutely. And that's why I started out by saying This isn't like this is not going to happen. It's just not yet. And so, but we had to do something to make some adjustments because we want to get this project going, and we found a way to do that.
So this blue and tan area is attached to that building?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, the architects did that just to notate of where some major changes were.
Okay.
Interior, exterior, square footage is all the same. It's just reconfiguring of walls and so forth.
One thing that happens an awful lot, and hopefully it won't happen here, is they make plans for being able to have a second story or to do something. And then whenever the 5 years passes or 2 years or whatever, they find out, whoops, we can't do that. I hope we feel comfortable that we can add that second story when we talk to them.
That was the conversations that we had, is that we want to have the ability to do what we originally planned in the future if we see that's the need. And the architects were like, most definitely, we can do that.
So how does that affect Southwest having a physical presence on our campus?
Let me take that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the biggest change is in the bachelor's piece. And so that's the part that will wait, is adults being on the campus.
Okay, so are people who are enrolled in those special programs will
Those
have
will
to drive
also-
to Weatherford for that?
No, all of our programming will still happen for our associate's degrees. And the labs are all still there in the future if we get to where we want to offer a full bachelor's program beyond the associates.
Okay, well, I was under the impression that our paras who are completing bachelor's degrees would be able to take classes on campus through Southwestern, and that's not going to happen now.
No, all those classes are online, so none of that program is impacted.
Okay,
They are
so they're
all
still able
intact.
to finish their degree
100%.
completions.
100%.
It's really
Okay.
just the aeronautical and the different things like that we were talking about, correct?
The aerospace will be built out. The room
Right.
is still there. We're
Yes.
still planning on that. Because we have our aerospace program started already now with kids enrolled.
So you found $25.
We did.
Waiting this whole time to say something brilliant, and that was what I came up with. You say you had additional expenditures, but you found money by making the changes. So questions that have been coming up are related to what else, as far as on the list of items that are on the bond, will be changed, or are we still on track to have all of the items that were on the bond to be executed at some point over the course of the next however many years?
That is the plan. Yes, sir.
So
Because, I mean,
nothing,
that's
nothing has
important.
changed other than this
Right.
at this time, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. That's all I have.
There's still some question on the high school expansion,
The
Yes, sir.
cafeteria
The
expansion.
cafeteria expansion.
whether the money can go far.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mr. Finley.
Thank you, Mr. Money
We'll
Guy.
just have to see the numbers.
So, I
You
mean,
need a
that's the
$25 donation.
yeah, well, if you take $25 donations from,
Everybody
1,000
pony up your
people, you know,
$25 admission fee tonight.
we start at, so I guess that's just the only question that has really been posed to me is, what of the list
Yes.
is going to change besides maybe the things that we're talking about right now. So you're talking about expansion to the cafeteria. But we're going to have a sports complex, so
Yes.
we're good.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank
Is
you.
there- Thank you very much
Yes,
for
ma'am.
that information. And thanks for answering all of my many questions. Appreciate that. Diana, anything else?
That is it for me.
Okay, so board member communications and announcements. Who wants to start? Cody, you start tonight.
Well, that's easy. I'm going to take a page out of Mr. Beheimer's book, and there's, I think we've already gone along with a lot of talking. I do appreciate everybody getting good information. I know Mr. Kendall's already left, but I do appreciate SWASU coming out and giving out all the good information and hopefully easing some minds on our partnership with SWASU. And we are, as a district, I hope to say that we are fully dedicated to our partnership and hope to see good things in the future. But other than that, I'm good tonight. So next,
Okay, Jeff,
No comment.
there it is.
Brian?
I don't have anything tonight either.
Leonard?
Got one item, and it's very short. I had a lot of positive comments about the use of our facilities for the track meet that was here. On the Chambers Coffee, they had representatives from the, is it AAU? Is that, and they were just tickled to death. They'd like to come back real fast, but I think they've got commitments to go different parts of the country, or well, of the
Yeah.
region that they cover. But that's all I've got.
Okay. Well, I've been getting some communications from members of the community, and I'm always really glad to hear from members of the community. So I want to encourage everybody, if you've got a question or something, reach out to us. We'll do what we can. Some of it we can help with, some of it we can't. But we're sure willing to look and see what can be done or give you as much information as we have access to. So, let us know if you need anything or what's going on. All right. We have upcoming events. Our next board meeting will be, and I want to tell all of our teachers and staff, I know some of them are gone, but I sure hope they're getting to at least have a little bit of fun and downtime this summer, because fun is so critically important in providing balance and brain health and physical health and stress and all that stuff. So I just hope our staff is out doing fun stuff right now for a while. Do we have any, no one has requested to address the board tonight? Okie dokie. Our first day of school, oh my gosh, August 17th. That's coming up fast. And then we have the OSSBA conference, and I want to encourage my fellow board members to go to that. If any of you have a chance to just kind of sneak in, the keynote speaker this year is absolutely outstanding. I heard him at another conference year before last, and I am here to tell you, it is so good. So, I don't want any of our people who can go to that to miss that, because it's really, really good. All right, so we will move on to the finance consent docket. All of the finance consent items will be discussed, considered, and approved or disapproved by one vote unless a board member desires to have a separate vote. Is there any discussion on any of that?
Not really discussion, maybe a comment. There was a very long list if you looked at it.
Uh-huh.
And they were all pretty much the annual encumbrances that we do. And
Standard stuff.
yeah, and it saves Jim and his people a whole lot of time by doing it that way rather than trying to do each one as it comes up. So
Yeah, that's a good plan. All right, so if any more comments? If not, then I would entertain a motion for items 6A through 6C.
I will make that motion.
What are you, shall we approve or disapprove?
yeah.
I move we approve all the business items on the finance consent as listed.
I second that.
Okay, now we have it. Can we have a vote, please, Deanne?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. Oh, I hate it when I do that, which seems to be more frequent these days. But anyway, so we need to look at the minutes of June 5th, and I need a motion to approve or disapprove those minutes.
I make a motion to approve the June minutes.
A second.
Okay, could we have a vote, please?
Yes.
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 Abstain. It's out of town. Okay, the business consent docket. All of the consent items will be discussed, considered, and approved or disapproved by one vote unless a board member requests to have a separate vote on any or all of the consent items. So we've got the new and continuing contracts, And you can access this on, it's available to the public through our school website on Assemble Meetings. So if you want to, is there any discussion or questions or
Just a couple
anything?
things to point out. I know the 8C, we have the food service management company. We're renewing with Sodexo for another 3 years. No questions on that. I sat through that deal with the RFPs. I think that's just good to point out to the district that we'll be continuing with Sodexo for the next 3 years. Also, the 8J, the student handbooks. We just have changes. Do we have like a quick rundown of what the changes? It's just kind of a cumulative of changes of all the policies and stuff that we've approved over.
Very benign changes this year, no major changes. Most of it was personnel updates, date changes. Our process is that principals have committee meetings at their sites. Then we gather the information, see if there are recommended changes. And this year, there were not very many recommended changes. They're very benign about language changes, about cell phones, things like that, but nothing that majorly changed.
Cool. No surprises later.
No surprises.
Nothing that the legislature needed us to add this year?
No, not for the student handbook.
Okay.
Lots of other fun things. but not the student.
Do we still call them cell phones?
Yes, personal computer devices, what, cell phone.
That was a lame attempt at a joke.
I do think we took the word pager out finally.
Oh.
We're stepping into the new world, people.
Right, right. Okay, any other questions or comments? No?
Maybe just a quick, on the pay scale,
Mhm.
item 8I, that's basically mandated by the state, right?
Yes, so we did the graduated pay scales per the state. So every teacher will get a step raise and the pay scale increase per the state. And so you can see there, it was a 99.3% vote. 2 people don't want the raise. I'm sure they were saving us money.
Okay. All right, so is there a motion for items 8A through 8J?
I'll make a motion that we approve items 8A through 8J.
Second.
Vote, please.
Yes.
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 I do want to point out, and I should have done this when you were voting on that, that even though the state did not mandate a pay raise for support, the district always takes care of our support personnel as we recognize we cannot operate without them. And so the average of the state raise was also applied to our support scale. But since that's not negotiated, it's not voted on.
Okay. Just making a quick note. Has that answered a question for me?
No new business.
Okay. Okay, is there any new business? Did we vote on that?
Mhm.
Okay. New business, Diana?
No.
No. Okay. Then that brings us to the personnel docket. And we can vote to convene or not convene an executive session pursuant to 25 OS 307B1 to discuss the resignations, employment of support and certified personnel, promotions, recommendations of change of assignment, transfers as listed on the attached Exhibit A, and possible changes to the superintendent's contract.
I'll make a motion to convene an executive session.
Second that.
Vote, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you all for coming. We're going to be in executive session. You're welcome to stay or leave or whatever you feel like you need.
I always want to put my fingers up on the screen on this thing.
I would like to acknowledge that the board has returned from executive session. No votes or actions were taken. Is there any discussion or action on,
I'd like to make a motion that we separate the posted personnel documents and the amended superintendent's contract into two separate votes, please.
okay, second?
Second.
Okay, vote please.
Yes.
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 Did you say Mr. Candy?
No, she didn't say that.
He's
I
far down
remember-
here. He couldn't hear.
I remember
us.
that there was somebody that kept saying Susan one time, and you thought that I put her up to it that one time because she's. I
Oh.
was like, oh, no, I wouldn't do that.
Yes, you would.
Okay. Now we can.
Okay, now, is there a motion on
Make a
the,
motion that we approve the posted personnel.
Second.
vote please?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, now, we've separated the superintendent part out of this personnel docket. Is there a motion on that?
I will take a motion that we table the amended superintendent's contract.
Second.
Vote please?
Yes.
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 Yes. And we will table that until the August meeting, correct?
If that is what we see fit, August, then yes, we can do that.
Okay,
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Before we adjourn,
Okay, I'm taking it back.
I do just want to publicly acknowledge that we had a retirement on our personnel agenda this evening, and just want to publicly say that Mr. Haggard will be missed and that we appreciate his 30-plus years of service to Yukon Public Schools and all he did for our kids, our teachers, our administrators, and none of us take that lightly, and we wish him the absolute best moving into retirement.
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
A second.
vote please?
Yes.
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 Yes.